At dinner, my girlfriend's mom said, "You're lucky my daughter even gave you a chance." My girlfriend added, "I usually date men with real money." I smiled. Next morning, I moved out and left proof of my $3.2 million construction empire on the counter. And now, they want a second chance. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Hey Reddit, long-time lurker, first-time poster. This story happened over the past few months and I'm still processing it all. Buckle up because this is a wild ride with the most satisfying ending I could have never planned myself. Some of you might not believe this story, but I swear on my mother's grave every word is true. I've got the paperwork to prove it, but obviously can't share that here for privacy reasons. First, let me give you some context about who I am. I 29 male, and I grew up about as far from privilege as you can get. My childhood was spent in Desert Palms Mobile Home Park outside Phoenix, one of those places where broken dreams and broken air conditioners go to die. My dad bounced when I was 8, leaving my mom Sarah to raise me on her own. She worked her tail off at 2 jobs, cleaning office buildings at night and stocking shelves at the local grocery store during the day. I hardly saw her except when she'd come home exhausted and collapse on our tiny couch. Mom never complained though. She'd always tell me, "Jake, we might not have much, but we have each other. And if you work hard enough, you can build something better." She was right about that, but it took me years to understand what she meant. When I turned 16, I knew college wasn't going to happen. We couldn't afford it. And honestly, I wasn't much of a student anyway. But I was good with my hands, and I wasn't afraid of hard work. Started doing construction summers and weekends with this crew that hired high school kids for grunt work. That's where I met Carlos Martinez, a 55-year-old foreman who'd been in construction for 30 years. Carlos took one look at this scrawny kid from the trailer park and saw something I didn't even know was there. While other guys treated me like free labor, Carlos actually taught me the trade. Mijo, he'd say. He called everyone Mijo. Construction isn't just about swinging hammers. You gotta understand the whole picture: materials, scheduling, costs, people. You learn that, and someday you'll run your own crew. Carlos taught me everything: how to read blueprints, how to estimate job costs, how to manage workers, how to deal with suppliers. More importantly, he taught me that there's no shame in honest work, no matter what other people think. After high school, while my classmates went off to college, I kept working construction full-time. Lived with mom in that same trailer until I was 23, driving a beat-up 1998 Ford pickup and wearing the same work boots until they literally fell apart. But I was saving every penny and learning the business inside and out. The turning point came when Carlos passed away suddenly of a heart attack. I was 24, and losing him felt like losing a father. At his funeral, his widow Maria pulled me aside and said something I'll never forget. "Carlos always said you had the mind of a businessman and the heart of a worker. Don't let either one go to waste." That's when I decided to start my own company. Took my savings, about $40,000 I'd scraped together over 6 years, and started Martinez Construction. Named it after Carlos because everything I knew I learned from him. Started small, just me and 2 guys doing bathroom renovations and small additions. We worked out of my pickup truck and stored tools in a rented garage. But I had something a lot of contractors don't. I actually cared about doing quality work, finishing on time, and treating customers right. Word got around fast in Phoenix. Happy customers tell their friends, and their friends tell their friends. Within 2 years, I had 8 employees. By year 3, we were doing whole house renovations. By year 4, we landed our first commercial contract, a small office building renovation that led to bigger jobs. Now, 4 years later, Martinez Construction employs 47 people. We handle everything from residential additions to million-dollar commercial projects. I own the building where we're headquartered, a fleet of trucks and equipment, and several rental properties around Phoenix. My accountant tells me I'm worth about $3.2 million on paper. Not bad for trailer park trash, right? But here's the thing. I still drive a pickup truck, still wear work boots, still get my hands dirty on job sites because that's who I am. Success didn't change my values, just my bank account. Which brings me to Brittany. I met Brittany Carmichael 8 months ago at Shooter's Sports Bar during a Suns game. She was there celebrating some promotion at the bank where she worked as a loan officer. Blonde, fit, wearing clothes that probably cost more than most people's rent. I was there with my crew after finishing a big commercial job. Still had dust on my boots and probably smelled like sawdust, but something about her caught my eye. Maybe it was the way she laughed, or how she seemed genuinely excited about her promotion. I bought her a drink and we started talking. She seemed down to earth at first, asking about my work, laughing at my jokes. When I told her I worked construction, she didn't immediately look for an exit like some women do. "That's so cool," she said. "I bet you can fix anything." "Pretty much," I said. "What about you?" "I'm in banking, loans and mortgages mostly. Nothing as exciting as building things." We talked for 2 hours. She gave me her number. I thought I'd met someone special. Our first few dates went great. I took her to nice restaurants, nothing too fancy but decent places. She seemed to enjoy herself, though I noticed she always ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. When the check came, she'd always do that thing where she reaches for her purse, but moves real slow, giving me time to wave her off. I didn't mind paying. I was raised to be a gentleman, and I had the money. But something felt off about the way she expected it. The first red flag came 3 weeks in. We'd planned to meet for lunch, and I drove straight from a job site. I was clean, but I was wearing work clothes and driving my pickup. When I pulled up to the restaurant, Brittany was standing outside looking annoyed. "Jake, why didn't you go home and change first? I thought we were just grabbing a quick lunch. Is this place fancier than I thought?" "It's not about the place, it's about presentation. Presentation. Like I was some kind of display she had to manage. But the biggest red flag was her social media. Brittany posted everything on Instagram. Her food, her workouts, her shopping trips, her nights out with friends. But in 8 months of dating, she never once posted a picture of us together. When I asked about it, she said she liked to keep her relationship private. But she had no problem posting pictures with her male coworkers or guy friends from college. I started paying more attention to how she talked about my work. She'd make little comments that seemed innocent at first. "Babe, don't you think it's time to get a newer truck? This one's so rough looking. Have you ever thought about getting into management? You're too smart to be doing manual labor forever. My friend Jessica's boyfriend just got promoted to project manager at his firm. Maybe you should talk to your boss about opportunities." She had no idea I was the boss. I'd told her I worked construction, but I'd never specifically said I was an employee versus owner. When she talked about my boss, I just went along with it. Looking back, I should have corrected her, but I was curious to see how she really felt about dating a regular construction worker. Turns out that was a mistake. The worst part was how she acted around her friends. She'd introduce me as Jake. "He works construction," in this tone like she was apologizing for bringing the help to dinner. Her friends, all bank employees, real estate agents, marketing coordinators, would give me these polite smiles and then immediately change the subject to something they thought I couldn't relate to. Investment accounts, vacation destinations, wine tastings. I could have contributed to most of those conversations. I know about investments because I make them. I've traveled because I can afford to. But they'd already decided I was just the blue-collar boyfriend, who probably didn't understand their sophisticated world. Brittany never corrected them, or tried to include me. She'd just smile and nod along while they talked around me like I wasn't there. But I stayed with her because I thought maybe she'd come around. Maybe once she got to know the real me, she'd stop caring about appearances and start seeing substance. Then I met her family. Brittany's parents lived in one of those McMansions in North Scottsdale, where every house looks exactly the same, but costs $800,000. Her dad, Robert, owned Carmichael and Associates, a small accounting firm that did taxes and bookkeeping for local businesses. Made probably $200,000 a year and acted like he was Warren Buffett. Her mom, Linda, was a classic Scottsdale housewife. Fake tan, fake blonde highlights, fake everything, really. Drove a leased Mercedes and spent her days shopping at Kierland Commons and gossiping with other bored housewives at the country club. The first time Brittany brought me home was for a family barbecue. I showed up in clean jeans and a nice polo shirt, but I could tell immediately they were judging everything about me. My pickup truck in their circular driveway next to their luxury cars. My work boots. The calluses on my hands. The way I talked. "So Jake," Robert said while flipping steaks on his fancy gas grill, "Brittany tells us you work construction." "That's right," I said. "Well, that's honest work," Linda chimed in with this fake smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Very important to have people who do the physical jobs. People who do the physical jobs. Like I was some kind of servant class." "Construction's been good to me," I said. "I enjoy building things." "Oh, I'm sure you do," Linda said. "It must be nice to work with your hands. Very grounding. Grounding. Like working construction was some kind of meditation retreat instead of a business." Brittany just stood there saying nothing while her parents basically talked about me like I was an interesting specimen they were studying. "You know," Linda continued, Robert's firm is always looking for reliable maintenance people. If you ever want something more stable than construction work, maintenance people. She thought I should be grateful for the opportunity to clean their toilets. That's generous, I said, but I'm pretty happy where I am. Are you, though? Robert jumped in. I mean, what's your long-term plan? Construction is young man's work. What happens when your back gives out? I wanted to tell them that my long-term plan was running a multi-million-dollar company that could probably buy and sell his little accounting firm. But I held my tongue. I figure I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, I said. Well, you should think about developing some other skills, Linda said. Maybe take some night classes. Learn computers or something practical. Learn computers. Like I was some caveman who'd never seen technology. Throughout the whole barbecue, they kept making these backhanded comments about blue-collar workers and how important it is to have ambition. Robert even pulled Brittany aside at one point, thought I couldn't hear them from the patio, and said, "Are you sure about this one, sweetheart? You can do so much better." Brittany's response, "He's really sweet, Dad, and he takes care of me financially." Takes care of me financially. Like I was her sugar daddy instead of her boyfriend. That should have been my wake-up call right there. But I figured maybe they just needed time to get to know me. Maybe once they saw I was a good guy who treated their daughter right, they'd come around. I was wrong about that too. 2 months ago, everything exploded at Brittany's 28th birthday dinner. She'd insisted we go to the Capitol Grill, one of those ridiculously overpriced steakhouses in Scottsdale where they charge $65 for a piece of meat and act like they're doing you a favor. I offered to pay for dinner, but Robert waved me off before I could even finish the sentence. Don't worry about it, son. I know construction doesn't pay that well. If only he knew. We got seated at this corner table, and right away Linda started bragging about the charity auction she was organizing for her country club. We raised $75,000 last year, she kept saying, like she'd personally written the check instead of just organizing rich people to bid on vacation packages. That's wonderful, Mom, Brittany said. You work so hard for charity. Work so hard. The woman's biggest challenge was deciding between Pilates and yoga on Tuesdays. Then, Robert started talking about his business, dropping names of his high-end clients, and complaining about how busy tax season keeps him. We're really growing, he said. Might have to hire another CPA soon. Hire another CPA. His firm had like 6 employees total. That's so exciting, Daddy, Brittany gushed. You're such a successful businessman. The whole conversation was making me nauseous, but I just smiled and nodded while they patted themselves on the back for being productive members of society. Then, Robert turned his attention to me. You know, Jake, if you ever want to better yourself, I could probably find you some work with one of my clients. Maybe building maintenance or facility management. Better than construction sites. I appreciate the offer, but I'm good where I am. Are you, though? Linda jumped in, setting down her cosmopolitan. I mean, really? What's your plan here? You can't swing hammers forever. Mom, Brittany said quietly, but she didn't actually tell her to stop. What? I'm just being practical, Linda continued. Jake seems like a nice enough young man, but let's be realistic about the future. Here we go. I mean, Linda was really warming up now. Brittany's always dated successful men, professional men, men with real careers and futures. Mom, please, Brittany said. But again, she didn't actually stop her. What? It's true. Remember that surgeon you dated in college? And what about that lawyer from your internship? Brittany has always attracted ambitious men. She turned to me with this condescending smile that made my blood pressure spike. I'm just saying, you're very lucky Brittany gave you a chance. She usually dates men with actual careers and money. You should appreciate that she's willing to overlook your situation. My situation. Like I was some charity case. You know what, Linda? You're absolutely right, I said, forcing the biggest smile I could manage. I am incredibly lucky. See? At least you're realistic about it, Robert said, raising his glass. That's refreshing. Most guys in your position would be defensive. Most guys in my position. Like there were hordes of construction workers trying to date above their station. To Brittany, Robert continued, for having high standards but also having a big heart. They actually toasted to Brittany's charity in dating me. I raised my glass and drank to my own humiliation while they spent the rest of dinner talking about vacation homes and private schools for grandchildren Brittany didn't even have yet. The whole ride home, I kept thinking about Linda's words. Men with actual careers and money. Your situation. Lucky she gave you a chance. These people had spent 2 hours treating me like I was beneath them, and Brittany had said exactly nothing to defend me. Jake, I'm sorry about tonight, Brittany said as we pulled into my apartment complex. Mom gets a little carried away sometimes. A little carried away? She basically called me trailer trash. She didn't say that. She didn't have to. The message was pretty clear. Look, they worry about me, okay? They want me to be with someone who can provide security. And I can't provide security? You work construction, Jake. Let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic. There it was, her true feelings finally coming out. So what am I to you, Brittany? A fun distraction until someone better comes along. That's not fair. Answer the question. She sat there for a long moment, staring out the windshield at my apartment building. You're a good guy, Jake. You really are. But my parents have a point about planning for the future. Planning for the future. With someone who wasn't me. I see, I said. Well, thanks for being honest. Don't be like that. You know I care about you. Sure, I can tell. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling and thinking about everything that had happened. The condescending comments, the fake charity toast, Brittany's silence while her parents tore me apart. These people saw me as beneath them. They thought I was some broke construction worker who should be grateful for their daughter's pity. They had no idea who they were actually dealing with. Time to educate them. Next morning, Brittany left early for work, said she had back-to-back meetings all day, and wanted to give me space to process everything. Perfect timing. I drove to my office and had my accountant prepare a complete financial statement. Assets, business valuation, property holdings, cash accounts, everything that showed exactly what Jake Martinez was worth. Had it all bound in a professional folder with my company letterhead. Then I did some research on Robert's accounting firm. Took me about 2 hours on the computer to find out they were in serious trouble. Behind on their office lease by 3 months, lost 2 major clients in the past 6 months, and word around town was they might not survive the next tax season. Very interesting. I also found out that Linda's Mercedes was leased, not owned. Their house had a second mortgage on it. Robert's business credit was maxed out. These people were living paycheck to paycheck, just like most Americans. The only difference was they had better PR. I printed out everything I'd found about their financial situation. Public records, business filings, credit reports, all perfectly legal to obtain. Added it to my folder. Then I sat down and wrote a letter. Brittany, here's some information about my situation that you might find educational. Maybe share it with your parents so they understand what trailer trash looks like these days. As for us, we're done. I don't date people who are embarrassed by me. Good luck finding someone who meets your family's standards. Jake left the folder on her kitchen table where she couldn't miss it, packed my stuff, which wasn't much since I'd never really moved in, and drove to the Phoenician resort. Figured if I was going to wait for the fireworks, might as well do it in style. My phone started ringing around 5:30 p.m. Brittany calling from work. Jake, where are you? Your stuff is gone. I moved out. What? Why? Because last night I realized exactly how you and your family see me. And I decided I'm worth more than that. Jake, that's not true. My parents were just being protective. Your parents were being snobs. And you let them. What is this folder you left? Is this some kind of joke? Did you read it? I looked at the first page. Jake, this says you own a construction company worth over $3 million. That's right. But you told me you worked construction. I do work construction. I just didn't mention that I own the company. $3 million, Jake? Are you serious? Dead serious. Been building it for 5 years. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to see what kind of person you really were. Congratulations, I found out. This isn't fair. How was I supposed to know? You weren't supposed to know. That was the point. I wanted someone who'd like me regardless of my bank account. I do like you. No, Brittany. You liked having someone to pay for dinner and take care of you. But you were embarrassed to be seen with me. That's not true. You never posted a single picture of us together. You introduced me to your friends like you were apologizing for me. You let your parents treat me like garbage at dinner. I didn't know what to say. How about stop talking about my boyfriend like he's beneath us? How about he's a good man and I'm proud to be with him? How about anything that showed you actually respected me? She went quiet for a long time. Jake, please come back. We can work this out. Can we? Because yesterday your mother told me I should be grateful you were slumming it with me and you said nothing. I was shocked. You were embarrassed. Of me. Please just come home. I'll talk to my parents. I'll make them understand. Understand what? That I'm worth dating now that you know I have money? It's not about the money. Everything with your family is about money, Brittany. That's all they talked about at dinner. Careers and success and who's worthy of their precious daughter. They were wrong. Yes, they were. But you didn't think so until you saw that folder. I hung up on her crying. 10 minutes later, Linda called. Jake, honey, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Linda. You made your feelings about construction workers very clear. But you're not just a construction worker. You're a business owner, an entrepreneur. Funny how that changes everything. We had no idea you were so successful. If we'd known, we never would have. We would have treated you differently. Exactly my point. You judge people by their bank accounts instead of their character. That's not true. We're not shallow people. Linda, you told me I was lucky your daughter was willing to overlook my situation. What situation was that? I I just meant you meant you thought I was broke and should be grateful for charity? Well, guess what? I don't need anyone's charity. I hung up on her too. Robert called an hour later. Jake, son, I think we need to talk man to man. About what? How you offered me maintenance work because construction doesn't pay well? I was just trying to help. I had no idea you owned your own company. So if you'd known I was successful, you would have treated me with respect? But since you thought I was just an employee, it was okay to look down on me. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant, Robert. You think blue-collar workers are beneath you. You think manual labor is for people who aren't smart enough to do anything else. Jake, please, let's grab coffee and sort this out. Nothing to sort out. I know exactly who you people are now. The calls kept coming for the next week. Brittany, Linda, Robert, even Brittany's sister Sarah trying to play peacemaker. But I was done with all of them. I had learned everything I needed to know about their character. When they thought I was poor, I wasn't worth defending. When they found out I was wealthy, suddenly I was worth fighting for. The money didn't change who I was, but it sure revealed who they were. About 6 weeks after our breakup, my buddy Mike called me with some interesting news. Mike runs a commercial cleaning service and does work for a lot of office buildings around Phoenix. Jake, you remember that accounting firm your ex-girlfriend's dad owns? Unfortunately, yes. Why? Well, word is they're in deep trouble. Lost their lease, can't make payroll, employees are jumping ship. Guys basically going under. This was music to my ears. How do you know all this? I clean the building they rent office space in. Landlord told me they're 3 months behind on rent and he's starting eviction proceedings next week. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thanks for the heads up, Mike. No problem. Figured you'd want to know. 2 days later, my phone rang. Robert's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Jake? This is Robert Carmichael. Listen, I know things ended badly between you and Brittany, but I was hoping we could talk business. Business. This was rich. What kind of business, Robert? Well, I heard through the grapevine that you do commercial construction and renovations. My firm needs some work done, and I thought maybe we could help each other out. What kind of work? We need to renovate our office space to make it more attractive to potential subletters. Nothing too fancy, just enough to make it presentable for sharing space with other businesses. Subletters. So he was trying to rent out part of his office to make ends meet. What's your budget? Well, we're hoping to keep it reasonable. Maybe around $30,000? I did some quick math. To do what he was describing properly would cost at least $80,000 minimum. I'll tell you what, Robert. I'll come take a look and give you an honest assessment. When would be good? How about tomorrow morning? Say on a M? I'll be there. I showed up the next day in my newest truck, a $65,000 Ford F-350 King Ranch with all the bells and whistles. Wore my best boots and a crisp company shirt with Martinez Construction Owner embroidered on the chest. Robert met me in the parking lot, looking like he'd aged 5 years since I'd last seen him. His BMW was gone, replaced by a beat-up Honda Accord that had seen better days. Jake, thanks for coming out. Really appreciate you taking the time. No problem. Let's see what we're working with. The office was worse than I'd expected. Outdated everything. Water stains on the ceiling. Cheap carpet that smelled like mildew. Fluorescent lighting that made everyone look dead. This place needed a complete gut renovation. So what do you think? Robert asked hopefully. Honestly, this place needs a lot of work. You're looking at minimum $85,000 to do it right. His face went pale. That's way over our budget. I figured it might be. I could do a basic refresh for around $40,000, but it won't be pretty. New paint, some carpet cleaning, fix the obvious problems. But it's still going to look dated. Even $40,000 is pushing it for us right now. Perfect. Time for phase 2 of my plan. Well, there is one other option. I've been looking to expand into property management and commercial leasing. I could renovate this place completely. We're talking $100,000 worth of improvements. But I'd need to take over your lease and sublease the space back to you. What would that cost us? Market rate for this area after renovations would be about $6,000 a month. Robert was currently paying $3,200. I don't know if we can afford that kind of increase. Tell you what, let me think about it and I'll get back to you with a formal proposal. I left him hanging for 2 weeks. Let him sweat it out while his financial situation got worse. Meanwhile, I did some more research. Found out the building owner was getting ready to sell. The asking price was $1.8 million for a building worth at least $2.5 million if properly renovated. I made an offer. $1.6 million cash. Close in 30 days. They accepted immediately. While the building purchase was going through, the phone call started again. First, it was Brittany. Jake, I heard you're looking at Dad's office building. Please, can we talk? What's there to talk about? Dad's business is failing. They might lose everything. That's unfortunate. Can't you help them? You have the money now. I had the money before, Brittany. The only thing that's changed is now you know about it. That's not fair. What's not fair is how your family treated me when they thought I was broke. We were wrong. I was wrong. I should have defended you. Yes, you should have. But you didn't. Please, Jake. I'll do anything. I know I messed up. Anything? Yes. Anything. Learn to judge people by their character instead of their bank account. Too bad it's too late for that lesson to help your dad. Then Linda called, crying about how sorry she was and how they'd misjudged me. How they were good people who'd just made a mistake. Good people don't look down on others because of their job, I told her. Good people don't treat someone like garbage because they think they're poor. We're not classist. We judge people on character. Really? Because when you thought I was a regular construction worker, my character wasn't good enough for your daughter. Now that you know I'm wealthy, suddenly I'm worth respecting. That's not... We just... Save it, Linda. I know exactly who you people are. The best call came from Robert himself. Jake, son, I'm begging you. I know we got off on the wrong foot, but I'm desperate here. The landlord's evicting us next month. I'll lose everything I've worked for. That's rough, Robert. Maybe you should have thought about that before you treated me like hired help. I was wrong, I admit it. I should have gotten to know you better before judging. You shouldn't have judged me at all. But you did, because you're a snob who thinks blue-collar workers are beneath you. Please, I'll pay you back for every dinner, every drink. I'll make this right. How are you going to pay me back? I thought your business was failing. I'll figure something out. Please, just give me a chance. You had your chance, Robert. You could have treated me with basic human respect. Instead, you offered me maintenance work and told me I should be grateful your daughter was slumming it with me. I was wrong. Yes, you were. And now you get to live with the consequences. The building sale closed last Tuesday. I'm now Robert's landlord, and his lease expires in 2 weeks. Yesterday, I got a call from Brittany one last time. Jake, please, I'm begging you. Don't do this to my family. I'm not doing anything to your family. I'm a businessman making business decisions. This will destroy my dad. Your dad destroyed himself when he decided to judge people by their paycheck instead of their character. What do you want from us? An apology? We're sorry. We were wrong. You're not sorry you were wrong, Brittany. You're sorry you got caught being wrong. There's a difference. Please, just tell me what it will take. It would take going back in time and treating me with respect when you thought I was just a construction worker. Since that's impossible, there's nothing you can do. So that's it? You're just going to destroy us? I'm not destroying anyone. I'm just not saving you. Big difference. I loved you. No, you didn't. You loved the idea of having someone take care of you while you figured out how to trade up. The only reason you care now is because you found out what you lost. Robert's accounting firm officially closed yesterday. He couldn't find new office space he could afford, and half his clients had already jumped ship anyway. Linda had to get a job for the first time in 20 years. She's working retail at Nordstrom, which I'm sure is quite the adjustment for someone who used to look down on working people. They had to sell the McMansion and move into a rental apartment. Linda's Mercedes got repossessed. Robert's driving a 10-year-old Toyota now. Brittany moved back in with them since she can't afford her apartment on just her salary. I heard through mutual friends that she's been telling people I ruined her family out of spite. Spite. Like expecting basic human decency is spite. Me? I'm doing better than ever. The building I bought is now fully renovated and leased to 3 different businesses at market rate. Martinez Construction just landed the biggest contract in company history, a $4.2 million shopping center project, and I'm dating someone new. Her name's Maria, yes, named after Carlos's widow, and she's a high school teacher who thinks it's amazing that I built a business from nothing. She's never once suggested I should drive a different truck or dress differently. When I told her about my background, she said, "That makes me respect you even more." Maria doesn't care that I get my hands dirty or wear work boots. She likes that I'm self-made, that I treat my employees well, that I honor the man who taught me everything. Last week, we drove past Robert and Linda's new apartment complex. Saw them loading groceries out of their old Toyota, both looking tired and defeated. Isn't that your ex-girlfriend's parents? Maria asked. Yep. Do you feel bad for them? I thought about it for a minute. No, I don't. They had every opportunity to be decent human beings. They chose to be snobs instead. What goes around comes around, Maria said. She's right about that. The moral of this story isn't that money makes you better than other people. It's that how you treat people when you think they can't help you shows your true character. Robert, Linda, and Brittany showed me their true character when they thought I was just a construction worker. They judged me, looked down on me, and treated me like I was beneath them. Now they know what I was worth all along. Too bad they burned that bridge when they thought it didn't matter. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's just being successful while people who underestimated you face the consequences of their own character flaws. That construction worker they made fun of? He's doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. As for them, well, let's just say they learned the hard way that you never know who you're really dealing with. And by the time they figured it out, it was way too late to matter. Karma's got a funny way of evening the score when you're patient enough to let it work.